But they remember everything, and there's so much data that you can go through, not just with Google Analytics, but when you do interviews with people. So many data points that you have. And then assuming that the elephant can also connect the dots between those events, that would be golden, man. If you can see, oh, this happened in Google Analytics, we saw this happening in Hotjar, and now we have this person complaining about X, Y, and Z.
Welcome to No Hacks Show, a weekly podcast in which smart people talk to you about better online experiences. My guest today is the Applied Cognitive Psychologist, podcast host and producer, as well as global evangelist at Spryker. He has over 20 years of experience in psychology, e-commerce, and technology, and I heard he also knows how to swim. Guido Jansen, welcome to No Hacks Show.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I know how to swim. I mean, I'm Dutch. It's kind of our birthright or mandatory by birth that we know how to swim, right? I mean, there's water everywhere.
I think you went beyond that.
My house is below sea level, so
you better know how to swim. What you're trying to say. That is nice. An easy question for you to open the interview with. So you worked in CRO for a long time. Let me put you in a scenario. You need to hire someone for a CRO role, but all of the humans have jobs. The economy is so amazing. It's 2024. Everybody has a job. Nobody wants to change their jobs. You need to hire an animal. Which animal are you hiring and why? You have 5 seconds to think.
An elephant.
Why?
Because they remember everything.
It's like you thought about this already.
No, I didn't. But they remember everything, and there's so much data that you go through, that you can go through, not just with Google Analytics, but when you do interviews with people. So many data points that you have, and if you can remember those, and then assuming that the elephant can also connect the dots between those events, that would be golden, man. If you can see, oh, this happened in Google Analytics, we saw this happening in Hotjar, and now we have this person complaining about X, Y, and Z. That sounds amazing.
Very good. Also, they're good with communities, elephants, and this is what we're talking about today: building communities and the psychology behind user engagement in those communities. So, you have participated in communities for Joomla, Magento, Spryker. When you were a child growing up, was it your dream to grow up and lead online e-commerce communities one day, or did it just happen?
Well, in the beginning, I mean, again, you already said I was 20 years old, so 20 years in the industry. So I've been here sometime. So when I was really young, I didn't know about the internet anyway. So that was not a thing. I think I started with online quite soon. I think when I was 1990s or something. I started with my first Pentium 386, something like that. 286.
The glory days.
The glory days with a modem that you can hear. You know, we all know the classic sound.
I remember that.
If you know, you know. And if you don't, it's okay.
You're still triggered. If you know the sound, you're still triggered by that sound.
If you know, so yeah, definitely. So no, I didn't have the ambition or the idea that this is even a thing, and so that just emerged when I was at college, bringing people together. That's just something that I really like to do as more as an aside, and it never was my main job until 2.5 years ago. But I really enjoy bringing people together offline, online, and see the power in what happens after when people get connected, companies get built, they grow alongside with your community or even faster. It's just really good to see. Yeah.
What a great answer. So if someone is working on a new e-commerce platform now using whatever technology, chances are one day you'll be leading that community the way you started. That's just my feeling, my hunch. So
who knows?
Back to communities then. And of course, the success of anything online sort of depends on having a community and loyal users and advocates and whatnot. But how important are in-person events? And now we have in-person events again after a few years off. So how important are those events for online communities?
I think it's paramount for people to get some face-to-face time, and Also, I mean, we've been working remote for a couple of years now as a world, right? And I think we recognize that's quite important to now and then see each other. I mean, also at Spryker, everyone works remote, but it's very nice to be talking to each other once. Well, depending on the team, once every quarter or once every 2 months to get together, sit down, and just talk about what's happening and discuss in a relaxed setting, not just having the agenda to go through what we have in Zoom or Google Meet, and then at the end it's goodbye, and then everyone goes its own way. It's nice to have that water cooler talk, and really interesting things happen then. That's where the connections are made. Same with the community. If you just see each other on Slack or on a forum or Discord or wherever your community is located, that's a very functional part. You ask a question, you get an answer. But the real connections happen when you drink a beer together, when you eat pizza, when I don't know, someone says something stupid or does something stupid, and you can laugh about it with each other. That's when the real connections happen. And I think for companies, I've said it before in previous interviews, I think a community is one of those big things that's going to be really hard for any competitor to copy. You can try to copy features, and companies do. You try to copy features of each other, try to impress customers, saying that you do the same or that you've built the same. But it's really hard to copy a community, and a community can mean a lot of different things for a company. It can mean peer-to-peer support. It can mean that you have an ecosystem of people that build extensions for software, for the whatever you make, the product that you make. It can also be physical products. I mean, if you create, I don't know, 3D printers, there's a whole makerverse universe of ecosystem out there of people that provide blueprints that people can use. That is golden. That's if you can tap into that and create that. Even if a competitor creates a better 3D printer, if it cannot use that existing ecosystem, it's going to have a really hard time.
And they're going to have a really difficult time, even if they copy your features, like to get those people to
yeah, I mean, and copying features at that point, then you're just the same, minus the community.
Yep.
So why would anyone use your product?
That's a really good point. So when you were starting with your first communities with Mambo and then Joomla, yep, how different was that compared to 2024?
Well, technology on the one hand is different. On the other hand, it's still quite simple. I mean, at Spryker, we still use a forum. I mean, it's crazy old technology, right? I mean, but if it works, it works. You need to use what people are doing to get their information and be there as a company. I think it was a bit easier 20 years ago when if there was less competition, I guess, less distraction of other things. I mean, right now we already have a lot of things online. We're all settled online more than we were 20 years ago. There are a lot of communities in Slack, in Discord, online forums, Reddit, Stack Overflow. A lot of things are already existing. So again, same argument as I just said, also with communities. If you want people to hop over to your community, if that's a separate thing, you need to have some really nice added benefits to whatever people are using there. I think that was a bit easier 20 years ago when you had, if you build a forum and you had the information and you were the only one, people will show up.
My impression is that, let's say 15 years ago, not 20 years ago, you go to a conference, you come back home, and for 2 weeks, it's the only thing you think about and talk about. Now, on the way to the airport, you forgot that you went to a conference. That's how many distractions we have these days. Yep. Sadly, but that's just how it is. But the in-person part of it, I guess it's more or less the same, right? As it was years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's still about that connection and making that friends. And it's nice to know that when you have a problem, that you can count on a community of people to at least respond or try to help you, right? And if they know you and you know them, that's just a higher likelihood that you will get help. You know directly who to ask, or if you see someone on a forum or on Slack, you recognize them. You've had a beer with them. It's just easier to. It lowers the barrier for you asking questions, and it lowers the barrier for others to actually answer them. They know you. Hey, I'd like to help them, and they might go the next, take the next step to help you.
That's a good point. But I'll share a personal story. My first big conference was in Leiden in the Netherlands, and it was a WordPress conference. Obviously, I was big into WordPress, and there was a restaurant next to a hotel. I went all alone. I knew nobody. I knew some people from Twitter, but not in person.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of people sitting in this Mexican restaurant, and I hear they're talking about WordPress. They're speaking English, so I know that they're here for the conference. And I just asked them, "Can I join the dinner? I know no one here. Can I just join the dinner? My name is this and that." I spoke to 3 or 4 people from that table in the last month, and this was 11 years ago.
Yeah.
So the power of making those connections in person, it just beats anything you can do online.
Yeah.
Like that, the end of my story.
Yeah.
Now,
and I mean, just to add to that, in when I was at Magento, we at the last couple of years, we always spoke about the Pac-Man rule. And the Pac-Man rule meaning that because you have this close community with everyone knowing each other, at least the core group, you have the tendency that the core group, they just clump together, and it's really hard for outsiders to join and to still join the community and be a new member there. It can be hard to join the restaurant, the table if there's no open seat. And apparently for you there was an open seat available. So in the last couple of years, the Pac-Man rule means if you form a group, that's fine, but at least always keep some space open. The mouth of Pac-Man, keep some space open for new people to join, and that's a good problem to have. That we address that way.
I learned about the Pac-Man rule from Kevin Anderson writing about Conversion Hotel, where he heard it from Tom Wesseling.
Yeah.
If this sentence was not Dutch, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing, right? Conversion Hotel. Yeah. Was also started as a small group, but over the years it grew, and I think at some point the maximum they like 300-400 people or something, and they intentionally scaled it down because they wanted more the cozy feeling back from the early days, but similarly there that if you do this and it's successful. You get a similar group of people that all know each other, and then it can be hard for others to join. So yeah, they adopted that rule as well.
It all goes back to Pac-Man. Yeah. Now, you have an online community where you have a lot of developers and a lot of technical people. There's going to be a bunch of lurkers who just read. I mean, I've had a Stack Overflow account basically since it became a big thing, and I never posted anything there. I'm sure it's like that with most of communities. How do you get people to actively participate in a community?
I mean, lurkers are fine, and I think there's a guideline within community builders that if you have if 100 people would represent your community, you have 90%, 90 of them would be lurkers. Then you have 9 that would comment or react or something, and there's only 1 that actually contributes and adds real content or new discussions, new questions to your community. So that's a tough statistic to work with if you start a new community, or if your community in general, just outside of your forum, but just your target audience, if that's a small group. But lurkers are fine. I mean, that's where it starts, right? You have a question, and then hopefully someone else already has an answer, has answered your question. I mean, that's the best case scenario. And then level up is that you need to comment on a post saying, "Hey, I have a similar issue, but in my case it's X, Y, and Z. So maybe anyone helps, or you need to start a new discussion," and that's fine. I think what really helps. Is to have low barriers of entry, so it should be easy to register. Again, ideally you use a platform that people are familiar with, or it's very easy just to register, like with your with social accounts that you already have, like with your Gmail, just 2 clicks and you're registered, you're in. You can reply or comment somewhere. I think that's an important one. But then turn lurkers into. I mean, at first you need to solve for their core issue. I mean, no one no one wants to join a community. That's not what they're there for. You need to be.
How depressing.
Yeah, no, but let's be fair about that. The first thing that you need to address, you don't say, "Hey, please come join our community." That sounds like you're running a cult, and you want more people to join, and people start doubting. Okay, well, why do you want me to join? Is it going to cost me money? Are you going to spam me afterwards? That's not why you get people. You want to help people to solve for that first basic need that they have at that moment. And that's fixing their shit. That they're coming to your platform because they have a problem, they have a question, and they want an answer to that. That's the first. If you do a good job at doing that, that's basically your stepping stone to the next level of people actually participating. And I think an important part in that is just showing how you handle people that are already participating. Showing the appreciation that you have for the people that are already doing that. If you have already people building extensions or contributing to fixing your documentation on GitHub and sending pull requests there to fix documentation or to fix your code, give shout outs to them, show them on videos or your monthly meetups or whatever. Create shout outs, show appreciation to those people that are already contributing, and show that to the rest of the world, and show them how to contribute. Interview those people. Hey, how did you come about documenting certain things, creating certain extensions or modules, or contributing? Show the outside world how to do it, how others are doing it, how their peers are doing it, why they are doing it. And I think that goes a long way. And again, you're not gonna the statistics statistic of that 90% is not gonna change much.
Okay, that's good to know.
That's something that you need to accept. There's definitely some wiggle room, and in some communities it will be different, of course. But that's a statistic that you need to live with as a community manager, I think. But as long as you're helping them, you're still doing a good job. If they keep returning and getting the answers, that's fine.
That's really
good. Slowly build up to the next level.
You mentioned community builder guidelines, or some. I believe that was the phrase used. So there is a cult behind this, right?
Yeah. Behind community builders, definitely. There's also conferences for community builders. I mean,
really,
that's a bit meta, right? So
who manages them?
I think the expert community builders, I guess.
Okay, the ones who graduate.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want this to be the last question, so I'm going to ask it now. Why do some communities fail online? What is the number one reason that communities fail?
Well, if you feel that those basic things like answering those questions, if you like directly go to the next level and everyone needs to contribute, or you need to sign something, or there's a whole process of getting in. I mean, there are exceptions that it might work. I mean, if you have a very private community and you work with signups, that might work like in a beta phase or something. But that's usually not something that works long term. So the more open you are about that, the better.
Right.
And people need to you need to build trust with your community, that you are there for them. I mean, they are there because they have a challenge with your product. So that can be a technical problem. That something is not there for them that they can't figure out, and they need to have trust in the community that it helps them solve that issue. I mean, no product is perfect. We all know that. We work in tech. There's bugs. There's shortcomings. There's features that are not there. That's a fact of life with all products. And communities are a great way of figuring out, okay, how are others dealing with this? And that's something that you need to answer. And you somehow need to build that trust that, hey, this is the place where you can find that documentation, the help, and you're not booed away as a newcomer. People take you seriously and help you to find out what can work best for you and share their experience. And if there's something that's something that you need to build, as always, as with personal relationships as well. Right. That's something you need to build, and ideally, you get a lot of people within your company involved in that as a community member, community manager. You'd want to have your C-level, your product people, your engineering people involved in helping those community members with their first steps, and retain that trust with them.
Right.
Trust is the key word here.
Trust, and I would say a sense of belonging really is maybe even the next step after trust, right?
I think that's the next step. Yeah, like I said, I mean, sense of belonging. People don't come to join your cult,
Right?
That's not their intention.
But they can want to stay.
Definitely.
If you have nice swag at the conferences or something.
Yeah, come for the great answers and great people, and stay for the swag and a nice coffee and beer and pizza.
Oversized T-shirts, right?
Definitely.
That's where the loyalty is. So, you know a thing or two about psychology. Give me some examples of cognitive biases and how they affect community building and participation in digital platforms and online communities.
Yeah, we have so many cognitive biases, and we're not even aware of.
That's my favorite Wikipedia page, by the way. My favorite rabbit hole. When I cannot fall asleep, I go read that page.
You need new hobbies, man.
Not a lie.
You need new hobbies. Well, I think the most obvious one is social proof. I mean, that's I think the one of the core pillars of building a community is showing that, hey, other people are also using this product, and they are also working with it, and they build stuff with it, and hopefully they like it. So social proof is definitely one of the bigger cognitive biases that communities utilize. And then you have things like authority. It can be like a specific group of people or a specific person in the community. Like if you have some, I don't know, some really knowledgeable high-end developers that are somehow extremely productive. They created a lot of modules. They are extremely active in your community. They talk about it. They go to conferences. Those are the authority figures within your community that you can nurture. From a company side, as some companies just hire them. That's definitely an option. But definitely support them in any way you can, because they are basically marketing your whole community towards the current community, to the lurkers, but also to potential newcomers.
That is very
and I mean, there's a whole list. I mean, I can go on for hours probably, but
we'll do a second episode just about cognitive biases. Let's do
just
that.
about the biases.
Yes, because that is so fun. Reading about, my brain did that to me that time, and I wasn't aware of it, and just thinking that I just find that very amusing. Now, online community, in my opinion, one of the worst things that can happen is someone asks a question and then someone responds, "That's a stupid question." So empathy, I guess, is huge, and it's kind of common sense that empathy is big in getting people involved and getting people to feel like they belong. But how do you enforce empathy at a community level?
Can you?
I don't know. You went to the cult meeting. I don't know, not me.
I don't know if you can enforce empathy, but I think it goes a long way if you have empathy yourself as a community team, and understand that there are a lot of newbies in your community that don't know those rules that you like them to follow. Sure, it would be great if everyone that joins your community is already certified and read the whole documentation and used the search function properly, but not everyone might just have the time to do that, or found those things because actually you messed up in explaining where they can find those things. And sometimes a forum is just easier, man. It's very low barrier sometimes compared to those other options. So if it's easier to ask a question in a forum, which is good, so you did a good job with your community being very open. So then you can. The consequence of that is that more people ask questions that might have been answered already or can be found in documentation, and it's fine. I think it's good to just redirect those people. It's annoying for the returning for your core community members to keep answering the same question, but that's also where I think AI can be of somewhat of a relief. And I say somewhat because it's also about that human connection. So there's a balance that you need to find there with answering questions really fast, but still trying to find that human connection. So, as an example, what we're trying to build in our forum is a bot that answers questions. So, especially from newbies, and specifically questions. So we have different post types in our forum. So if it's a discussion, then the bot should probably stay away, because that's a discussion that's opinion based, and that's we don't necessarily care about what the bot thinks. But if it's a question,
not yet.
Maybe not yet. But if it's a question, a more technical question, it's not that hard to imagine that a bot can answer that if it's trained on your data, on your forum, on whatever white papers that you have, the documentation, all the code in GitHub. So we can get a bot to answer that. But still, we try to also train the bot to suggest you to talk to other people. So, hey, I've seen you answer this question. And maybe in the beginning, we don't even try to answer the question directly. We just give suggestions of, hey, you might look at this documentation page or this forum thread that actually we think, or I think as an AI answers your question. And then as a closing, you can say, hey, and based on your question, I noticed you asked a question about, I don't know, B2B e-commerce. I know on this forum, person X, Y, and Z are actually experts in this field. So you pull those in, you mention those existing community members to chip in on the question. So that way we're trying to have a combination of AI quickly answering questions, but still trying to form that connection. So.
And have you measured the success of those AI bots?
We're in a beta test right now, so okay. I don't have I don't have the answer on that yet.
Okay, but I mean, higher than 0 is what I would assume. But when you build a community of bots, that's going to be like the real next big thing. Now, back to in-person events. I want to know
the community of bots.
Community of bots is...
And then a conference for bots.
Conference yeah. That's a Black Mirror episode. Wait,
organized by bots.
Organized? Of course. Come on.
Yeah.
In-person events. What are your favorite ones? CRO, experimentation, whatever. And when can people see you? Where can people see you this year?
My favorite event, I mean, for most events, and so I've organized a lot of events in the past myself as well, right? And the feedback I consistently get is that people, what the best features of an event have nothing to do with the sessions, the speakers.
Yeah.
It's all about the networking. It's, oh, we went on a boat trip before the event. Oh, we had dinner together. Oh, we did this social exercise at the event. That's consistently, those are the top performers when it goes to why people enjoy the event. And annoyingly, for an organizer, this is not why people buy the tickets. They buy the tickets because of those headlines that you have, the keynote speakers. Yeah. Because that's what they use to argue to their manager, I guess. This is why I need to go to this event. This is what I will learn. And your manager probably will never sign off on saying, hey, this is I'm going to meet a lot of new people and drink beer and eat pizza with them. That's probably not what managers sign off on.
unless you have a really cool manager who has done that in the past.
Sure. If they understand it, yeah. that might help, but that's usually not what you see in those the reasons that help people get sign-offs for events.
No.
So it's mainly the social aspect that's usually really great. And what really helps then, because of that, is when you have multi-day events where people stay in the same location. And a great example, so in the Netherlands, we have a challenge with that because the Netherlands is so small. No one does that. No one stays overnight for a conference because you can just travel there and back. And then the next morning you go again. Which is, and the exception to that rule for the Netherlands at least, is the conference that you just mentioned, Conversion Hotel, or the conference formerly known as Conversion Hotel. Because they decide to go to an island here in the Netherlands. We have a couple of islands in the north, and the boat doesn't go at night, or in the evening. So you'll have to stay there. So they rent out, I think it's 2 or 3 hotels. The conference is in one, and then the other hotels are just for the rooms for sleeping, which is amazing for creating this atmosphere where everyone has to stay. It's forced, which might sound a bit scary to the introverts amongst us. I'm one of them, but it's a great way to get introduced to people, and everyone's in the same boat, quite literally in this case, where there's no one else in the hotel. It's just people.
Oh, there's
from the
no
conference.
other guests. There's no other guests. So you can be as weird as you want, basically.
Well, that's still up to you. I mean, you will still be judged by the other participants of the conference, but they all have. You can go up to anyone, and in this case, talk about A/B testing,
right,
or CRO if you want, and they will have some opinion about it, or they know something. They went to the same sessions as you, so that's an easy hook, or easy talking point you can get with everyone there. And same with events that I had in. Las Vegas is an obvious one as well, because there's a lot of tech conference there, and all the people there are probably not from Vegas. So and sometimes, and especially when they're bigger and they have rented out the whole hotel or multiple hotels even, it's a similar effect over there. Everyone is there, they're for the conference, and that really helps when you want to make that connection with people. So those are usually the best conferences in my memory, the ones that create the most memories and joy afterwards, and also the best ones for community building. Yeah.
So conversion hotel, basically Las Vegas without the slot machines, is what you just said. That's what I heard.
I'm not a big fan of slot machines, but that's just a recurring location. I'm not sure. I'd love to go to different places than Vegas.
Of course. Of course. Guido Jansen.
First couple of times I went to Vegas as a psychologist, it's quite interesting to go there.
Oh, wow. Oh.
But yeah. I mean,
did you do a PhD in Vegas?
Something like this, yeah. Yeah, and for my or to answer another question of yours, so I think that the 2 conferences this year I'm looking forward to. I'm going actually to Growth Marketing Summit, and that's 19th of June.
See you there.
Frankfurt,
yes,
if I recall correctly. So we're actually going to do Zero Cafe podcast recording there. So we're going to have a booth there, bringing some microphones.
Wonderful.
And do basically live recording, I guess, the whole day. So hope to see you there and see you at my table. If you want, you can co-host. That's also good.
We can talk about it. Yep.
For those that don't know, so Zero Cafe is actually in 4 different languages, and I do not speak 4 different languages, unfortunately. But I have my German co-hosts. 2 of them, they run the German version of the show, and they will also be at the event. So that's going to be great. And the second event is going to be Spryker Excite, of course. So we're going to have a big hackathon in the days before our main event, and then Spryker Excite, our main event itself, is on September 12th in Berlin. Beautiful.
My parting note was going to be, from No Hacks community, we miss Zero Cafe. Okay, that's settled. That is settled. So Guido Jansen, thank you for being on this podcast. It was an absolute pleasure to interview the original CRO podcaster who's coming back this June 19th.
The pleasure is all mine.
And to everyone listening to this episode, I'm sure you learned a lot about building online communities, psychology, cognitive biases, and I will talk to you next week.